basket, going up, and she's got it in.
Hello, Bonnie's basketball fans, and welcome back to Bonnie's Basketball Now. Today I'm joined by SBU-TV Sports reporter Matt Shalloe, and as always, the Olean Herald, JP Butler. The men's team heads south for the Charleston Classic this week. We will preview the tournament coming up, but first, the Bonnies survived an upset scare on Sunday night in some action against Little 3 rival Canisius. It was a slow start for Mark Schmidt's team, which had a double-digit deficit at one point in the second half, but the return of fans in the Raleigh Center gave this team life down the stretch. And Oshun-Oshuni-less Bonnie's team were led by Kyle Lofton and Jaren Holmes, who finished this one combining for 34 points, giving the Bonnies the win. Coach Schmidt, after the game, expressed the importance of the fans' return to the Raleigh Center. Take a listen.
The crowd was terrific. You know, we probably wouldn't have won if we weren't playing at the Raleigh Center. The crowd got into it after we, made some steals. Jaron had a big dunk. And we started playing the way we're capable of playing.
JP, the Bonnies narrowly escaped that game against Canisius. What was your takeaway from that game?
Yeah, if Siena was a slow start, this was a legitimate scare against Canisius. I mean, we said they were down 11 with 15 minutes to go, but for the second straight game, they really got it together when they needed to most, led by Kyle Lofton, who had both sort of entered that takeover mode in the last 10 minutes of the game. They played more like the team I think we're ultimately going to see. And, we talk about it, it's good, even when you don't play very well, that some of these lessons can be learned in a win, which they were able to do. They are still 2-0. They did move up in the national rankings. But now the big key going forward here is putting a full 40 minutes together.
And Matt, Oshun's absence in that second half kind of exposed the Bonnies' defense a little bit. What were your takeaways from his absence?
Yeah, obviously they're a much better team with him on the court. We know that. We've known that for a couple of years now. And one of my main concerns was the amount of offensive rebounds they've given up. They have to find a way to replace him. They have to find it fast. Obviously, Abdul Kareem Coulibaly, he is going to be the main guy we look to, but they also have other presences off the bench too. Linton Brown, Quadri Adams, guys like that. They just need scoring. They need scoring from anyone at this point. We need to shoot the three better. That was one of the main problems yesterday. They are starting these games way too slow, and do that against one of these good teams in A10 play, it's going to be hard to catch up.
And JP, your prestigious player of the game from that Canisius game was who?
Kyle Lofton, again. Like I said, it just gets to that point in the game where he kind of has that look in his eye that he knows a lot of this is going to fall on him to start making something happen. He's getting to the basket, he's scoring. He had 11 points and a big steal and an assist in the last 10 minutes of that game. He's the guy when they need a basket. He's the guy with the ball in his hands. And now they just need to start doing that earlier in the game.
Some women's basketball highlights from last week. Against Siena, Ajahnay Johnson breaks free and energizes the team with 19-5-2. She started quick and carried this team to a victory. And over the weekend versus Cleveland State, Maddie Duskowski from behind the arc, where she went 3 of 7. But in the end, JP, the Bonnies did come up short.
They're defending and rebounding the way I know that Jesse wants them to. The key going forward here is finding more offense.
And on Monday night, the Bonnies awaited their fate as the AP rankings were released, coming in one spot higher than last week, where your St. Bonaventure Bonnies coming in at number 22 in the country. Heading into Charleston this weekend with multiple Power 5 teams, the Bonnies have an opportunity to build their resume. JP, how important is this Charleston Classic to kind of build that resume for the Bonnies?
Yeah, so to me, it's big in terms of both visibility and the resume. Here's an opportunity to go into a really prestigious event and justify that national ranking against some really good competition. Here you've got an opportunity for 3 against a Boise State team. It's a really good Mountain West squad, and then against probably not 1 but 2 power conference programs. And those are exactly the kind of signature wins you need under your belt on Selection Sunday if you're not already automatically in, or if you're playing for better seeding.
And Matt, with Oshun's lingering back issues, if he can't go all the games this weekend, who do the Bonnies need to have step up in his absence?
Yeah, like I said before, Coulibaly's the main guy I'm looking to. He comes in with ACC experience, obviously being at Pitt. That is big. That's big to have. And I don't know. I'm just looking for them to stay competitive in these games because, like JP said, it's really a good chance to bolster your resume. We usually see teams, like in the past, they'd be a bit of a cupcake start to schedules, people would claim. Now we got, Bonnies is going in, they're playing big teams. You even see Duke playing teams like Kentucky, Gonzaga after Thanksgiving. Teams are front-loading their schedules now because, especially for a team like a mid-major like Bonnies, that is big. So if you can stay competitive, pull out some wins, go deep in this tournament, that will mean a lot in March for this team.
Coming up after the break, our Leah Lockwood checks in with St. Bonaventure guard Jaron Holmes. An insightful look into Holmes' life on and off the court. Stay with us.
remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Few players play with the same fire and intensity as senior guard Jaren Holmes. Our Leah Lockwood spoke with Jaren about basketball and the intersection of life on and beyond the hardwood.
You know, obviously it's quiet now, but this season you guys are going to have fans back. What do you think that's going to be like?
It's gonna be exciting, honestly. I can't wait. You see people every single day, and they talk about the games and how excited they are. And last year, they couldn't even come. So
Right.
Now you'll be able to see them. You'll get to talk to them after the games, talk to them in class about it. You know, it's just an exciting experience. I'm ready for everybody to be back.
And what's your favorite memory that you have here at the Riley Center? Could be about anything.
Probably my 38-point game. Even though everybody wasn't here, that would have to be my most memorable moment for real.
You want to shoot some hoops?
Yeah. Let's go for it.
What's your free throw routine like?
I try to take as much time as possible.
Do you have like a certain amount of dribbles or anything?
I'll give you a tip that I always do.
Okay.
See the little dot right here?
Yeah.
So, like after I take a breath, I always spin it, and I find the dot. Kind of slow your heart rate down, focus on something other than, missing the free throw or the fans in the crowd. I try to just focus on finding the dot.
How'd you know you wanted to come here?
It played a big part that my mom and my family were so close. As they're getting older, you want to cherish those moments. Like the ability for them to see me play and the last years, and see me graduate. That's all they've ever wanted me to do is graduate from college. So.
Will they come to every game or?
My mom hasn't missed a game.
Really?
My mom hasn't missed a game.
Dedicated mom, I like that.
Since I've been here. My grandparents come to all the home games.
Bringing your own energy last year, now combining that with all the fans' energy, do you think it's going to get to be too much at times, or do you think it's just going to only add fuel to the fire?
Me and the guys have been talking about this lately. Like, we're kind of like, will we be anxious? It'll be a big night. But I'm telling you, it's gonna be a night for the ages. And I bet you everybody that goes here now will never forget it.
I know I won't, but those are all the questions I have, so thank you for answering. Will you give me a shot?
Oh yeah, let me.
Thank you. You never miss though, right?
Not if I do everything the right way.
The Bonnies moved up a spot in Monday's AP Top 25, sliding in at number 22. And although it's early, St. Bonaventure remains just one of 4 mid-majors nationally ranked this week with a 2-0 record. JP, what are your thoughts on where things currently stand today?
Yeah, it's still pretty incredible to see this team in the national rankings, first at 23, now up to 22. Their first 2 wins as a ranked team in 50 years. Pretty incredible to see. And, as tight as those wins and as scary as those first 2 wins sort of were at times, I having previous experience as an AP Top 25 voter, I know that if you win, no matter how they come, you have the opportunity to move up. That's really what it boils down to. And that's why the ball's in their court as far as how far they ultimately vault in this thing.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where survive and advance kind of thing. Like you said, you win, you'll move up. One thing I'm monitoring where things stand today here in week 2, they got a matchup in a couple weeks against UConn. They're 23. Bonaventure's 22. That's a potential ranked matchup between two ranked teams. Haven't seen that all that often here. Like you said, haven't been ranked in that long of time. And at the helm for Connecticut is former Rhode Island coach Dan Herald.
And if there was an opportunity for them to make their biggest jump maybe of the season, depending on how things go in A10 play, it'll probably be during this Charleston Classic coming up because of the level of competition. They're going in at a 22, but if they were to actually come out of that 3-0, perhaps with wins over both Clemson and a West Virginia, we could be talking about a team in the teens, maybe even mid-teams, by this time next week.
Still to come, we analyze the Bonnies matchup against the Boise State Broncos in round 1 of the Charleston Classic. Next.
Put the keys down, Kevin.
But I'm gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
My text to emoji ratio has gotten a little out of hand.
A little?
Yep, I'm definitely gonna call a ride home.
Coming into this year's Charleston Classic, the Bonnies are set to face off against the Boise State Broncos, currently sitting at 9th in the Mountain West. Putting these teams head-to-head, the Broncos coming in at 1-1 after their first 2 games of the season. Through those 2 games, senior Devonire Dutrieve leads the team with 13.5 points per game. The Bonnies, led by recent stars Kyle Lofton and Jaren Holmes, look to stand tall against an experienced Boise State team in Charleston this Thursday. JP, the Bonnies and Boise State, how do you think those 2 teams stack up against each other?
It's 2 veteran teams, going at it for starters. This is a Boise State team that brings 3-4 starters back from a team that won 19 games a year ago. They were picked to finish in the top 4 of the Mountain West again this year. They've got a couple of Arizona transfers on that team. These guys can play. That loss, kind of a quizzical loss from the other night, but this is still a good team. There's also a little bit of a revenge factor. The current core of seniors at Bonner were freshmen. They actually played that Boise State team in the Cayman Islands Classic. Some of the same players still involved, so that might be a little bit of a wrinkle too.
And Matt, we kind of know what we're going to get out of Kyle Lofton and Jaron Holmes, but who's an X factor this weekend that you think needs to step up for the Bonnies to maybe get to that championship game against West Virginia?
Well, I mentioned earlier how they're struggling to shoot the 3, and we know someone on this team that when he gets hot, there may be no one hotter in the gym. That's Dominic Welch. He needs to get going early, make his first couple shots. When he does that, he's a totally different player, and when they can shoot the 3, we know how good they are, and that's what they need to do.
Totally agree. He's a little bit of a slow starter historically. He's obviously struggled a little bit shooting these first 2 games. If they can get him going, he absolutely can be an X factor in this tournament.
Someone who will be in attendance cheering on the Bonnies in person this weekend is ESPN's Senior Vice President of Communications and St. Bonaventure alum, Chris LaPlaca. We spoke to Chris last week to get his excitement for the upcoming tournament.
I'll be there. I'm going as a fan, not as an ESPN person. I keep pinching myself because we should not take this for granted. This did not happen overnight. It happened year over year with a lot of blood, sweat, and tears over a long period of time. And it's just a wonderful thing. I'm so proud of Coach, all the players, everybody around that program. They represent the university we all love exceptionally well.
JP, the Bonnies will get things started against Boise State Thursday at 2 p.m. How far do you think the Bonnies will get in this tournament?
Well, they're being viewed as one of the favorites in this thing, which is saying a lot considering you got teams like Clemson and West Virginia in the field. But that has to be the goal, to get to the championship game, again, both from that visibility and resume standpoint. Give yourself a chance on Sunday to just see what happens, maybe in a championship against Bob Huggins and that West Virginia team. But even if they were to go a 2-1, and put up a good fight in that championship game and lose, and then maybe get one or both of those UConn and Virginia Tech games coming up, that collectively still gives you a really good resume going into A10 play.
Matt, your thoughts?
I definitely like them a lot Thursday. I think they match up very well with Boise State. That's a very winnable game. Clemson, Temple, they'll go into that game. I think it'll be Clemson. I like the way they match up there too. Like you said, I just want to get to that final. I really want to see them against that West Virginia press that Bob Huggins runs and has been running for years. That'll be interesting. And like you said, just stay competitive. You'll go a long way in the rankings in terms of that.
That's right. It'll be fun to watch our Bonnies on national TV in that tournament. Well, that's all the time we have for BBN this week. We will be covering the Charleston Classic live from South Carolina. So stay tuned on our social medias for content that you can't get anywhere else. That's all for this show, guys. We'll see you next week.
Ball.